Sandy from parkerlings.com. Sorry for the sunlight. You find me on a very beautiful day going out for my first 2024 harvest of rhubarb. A couple years ago, back in 2022 when we moved onto the property, Dad worked up a bit of soil for me and we planted 6 rhubarb crowns. I did video that, so I will post somewhere. We'll post the video of that so that you can take a look at how we established this rhubarb patch. It's now 2 years old, and it was about this time that we, May of 2022, that we planted the rhubarb. And last year I think I got 2 cuttings of it. And now this year it's May, and so I expect that I will get another 2 or 3 cuttings of it. We are here at our house in South Suburban Chicago. I'm on the north side of the property, and you can see here that we've got a real hardy rhubarb patch all ready to have its first picking. Now, the rules for picking rhubarb are apparently that you don't want to completely denude the crowns, so you only want to take a couple of stalks from each of the crowns, or a few of the stalks. You want to leave at least 1/3 of the stalks on the crown, and so that's what I'll be working on doing today. We have 5 crowns. We originally planted 6. We have 5 crowns that survived, and so I should get a real good initial harvest of rhubarb from this first cutting. So to pick the rhubarb, I'm going to go down just by hand and find a couple of stems. You can see here that there are 3 right here on this part of the crown, and I'm going to go down as far close to the base as I can, and I'm going to twist and pull, and that brings the stalk up from the crown. I'll put it in my basket, and then I will pick the next one. You can see here that there were 3. I just picked the one on the left. I'm now going to try this one on the right. Go up close to the base, twist, and pull. Oh, and I pulled up both of them. Well, that's not ideal, but it is what it is. Ideally, I would have been able to separate them at the ground, but so that I could have left it, but that's okay. You can see that there are quite a few stalks coming up from this base, and so I will. And here is a 4th one that was on that same piece of crown. I will leave that one. Here's another section of crown that has at least 3 stalks here growing off of it. So I will take 2 of the 2 nicest of them. Ideally, there we go. Here's one. And here's a second. Now, I did bring a knife, but they suggest not using a knife to do the cutting, if at all possible, and to leave as much of the, to kind of peel it away from the crown if possible. And you can see these are beautiful, over a foot long stalks that I'm harvesting. Now, that had this one, and I think this one was part of the same branch, so I'll leave both of those there. And I'll just keep moving exactly like that through the whole patch. As the sirens go. One of the things you'll notice is right here, there is a bit that looks like it's been cut previously. This is because our rhubarb, after just early in April, our rhubarb started bolting, and so we cut back the stalks that were bolting, and that's what you're seeing here is the remnants of that stalk that we cut back from bolting. What's good about this is that we're opening the crown up so that more stalks can grow. So there we go. I think I'm going to leave that one as it is. We used to have one right here in the middle, but it didn't survive. You see that this is mulched heavily with the autumn leaves, and we won't bother to pick those up. We'll let them just stay mulching. Helps to keep the moisture in the plant. You can see I've already got quite a big batch there that I'm gonna, and I'll show you how I prepare it. I'm gonna make this stuff probably either into sauce or into crumble, or a little bit of both. We use rhubarb in so many ways throughout the season. So here I am taking off some of these leaves from those central cores that I talked about here, you know, that from where it bolted. It seems like this one has bolted quite a bit, actually. It's the same variety, Victoria, which is the main variety, but you see that this one doesn't have the pink on the stems that the other one did, that the first one did that we harvested. I find that interesting. That central stem is really woody. Here's one that's kind of gone bad. I'll take that out. And I'm just throwing it here in the back because it ends up being good mulch, helping with the moisture retention. And you can see that there are some weeds. Phil hasn't come out here yet to really do his weeding. We've been busy with various other bits and bobs around town, and we have a cleaning job now, so that takes up a little bit more of our time every week. So I've just sat down. It's hard on the knees doing all this bending, and while I was rearranging and adjusting the camera and everything, I noticed that we had some of the old seed heads. So you can see here, these are the seed heads that we cut off, that we chopped off as close to the base as we could. You can see what that looks like. And so cutting those off is a smart thing. So I'm gonna keep going. I've got this one further plant that I need to work my way through. So here you can see where I'm at with this particular, here's that core piece that I just pulled out. That's the stem, and it's hollow in the center, so you don't want that. It's quite woody. You want the actual leaves that kind of come off looking a bit like that. Just working to keep this stuff out of the way. Going that back down in here. Oh, here's a piece that came off a crown. There you can see the crown. Let me move the camera over a bit and show you a little bit more. I don't know if you can see down in there real good. As I'm picking here, just trying to work the stems by kind of twisting. Oops, there you can see. There's one twisted off here in the middle. And on this one, I can't really see too well, so I'm just doing the best I can in terms of picking stuff off and out. There we go. So here I picked the main part of the stem, the stem that is woody. That was the bolting part. And I'm going to just cut the one branch off of it, and I'll throw the stem part into the compost, but I'll keep the stalk for cooking. And I'm just going to keep doing that on this plant because this plant is still got pretty much around it. And when here you'll see I didn't do a very good job of being able to separate the pieces off the crown, and so I did lose this little piece here. Not the end of the world. I've got plenty, but ideally I would have been able to save that. I don't know what's going to end up growing now as a result of that mistake in terms of that little plant. But you see that there's quite a bit of, I don't know if you can see that in there, but here there is quite a bit of new growth actually coming, that's going to be coming up. So I get rid of the weeds there. Excuse my weeds. So let's see, what else can I take? Let me take this piece. And I think I'm going to take this last piece here of stalk and just try to get rid of it. There we go. That way it's opening up. And again, here you can see that when I did that, I did take a little piece that was growing next to it. Not ideal. If I look at that, you can see there is arguably a little root there. So in theory, this could be, I could try to plant this back into the dirt. In theory, it might still grow. It might root and grow. But I took this piece off because there is a stalk on the side here. So I'll just take that stalk. I'll just take that off to harvest, and the other bit I will compost. And that's opening this one up pretty well. You see, I still do have at least one stalk in. I have one or two stalks still in here. So I think that is going to be about all of my harvest for this year. It opens up the space and air for all these little babies. You see all these little baby leaves starting to come up. And I would say that I'm going to have to do some research and talk to Dad and Phil about maybe actually cutting this particular crown in half and dividing it and expanding the bed a little bit for next year, because boy, that is a pretty big crown right there. What do you think? How often do you separate your rhubarb crowns if you are a rhubarb grower? I'd be interested in the comments to read your comments about how you feel about that. What I'm doing is the next step of preparing the rhubarb for processing. I'm taking all of the big leaves that we've got here and just cutting them off at the top with a knife as best I can, like so. And I'll take this bit in, and the leaf will go in as green matter in our compost heap. We're always looking for more and more green matter. So what I'm doing is I'm just going at where the leaf, I don't know if you can see that, where the leaf meets the stalk, and I'm just doing a very deliberate and hard, and that takes off the leaf. Now, when Phil and I lived in the UK, you could buy trimmed rhubarb in the store. I think 10 stalks cost about £2. And I don't know what that would be in today's money. That's about 4 or 5 years ago now, but it just gives you an idea. It's an expensive plant. I think we paid probably about $6 a plant, so maybe about $30 for the crowns 2 years ago. Given that we've probably taken at least 4 cuttings similar to what we've taken today, I would say we've probably already gotten our money's worth, our $30 or so that we invested in the rhubarb patch. it's a very forgiving plant in terms of care. You saw that we just mulch the copious number of leaves that we get that fall in the fall time. We just put those on top of the rhubarb plants. Oh, here's one. Every time I say I think that's it, I find another one. This one's got some bad on it. I'll cut that off. Oh, I'm out here. I do now have it all cut. So let me show you our harvest. So I just have counted, and I class this as 45 stalks of celery that I have just picked. And if you think back to what I just said, about 10 stalks would be trimmed rhubarb would be sold at the grocery store in the UK for about £2. And so you're looking at about 8 to 10 pounds, Great British pounds, worth of rhubarb here in this box. And this is just my first cutting. It is early May, and I reckon that I will get probably a harvest in June and a third harvest potentially in July, depending on the weather. So if I can get anywhere near this amount of stalks, I'll be doing extremely well and should be able to get quite a bit of rhubarb preserved for the winter.